I think number one, we lost sight of what the strategic objective was. I mean, ultimately, it's the job of the president to lay out the strategic objective, and then for his team to build the plan to carry it out. We lost sight of that. Number two, I really put the greatest amount of blame on Pakistan and the inability of successive administrations to figure out a strategy where Pakistan would not be able to give safe haven to the Taliban and to Al-Qaeda.
Why are you supporting President Biden's decision to pull out? Because a lot of people will say this will be one of the worst foreign policy disasters of his term. They'll say that President Trump laid the groundwork for this by directly negotiating with the Taliban and empowering the Taliban and both presidents announcing that this was going to be a calendar-based pullout rather than a conditioned pullout.
Yeah, well, I think certainly the administration is going to come in for some well-deserved criticism for how this has happened and the way it happened so fast without having the policies in place that I talked about earlier. There's no way to find any bright spots in this. However, it really is self-serving by many people, and I'm watching everything that you're watching here over the last few weeks of people that had hands in it over the last 20 years, that had a role to play, whether they were at whatever level they were in. The president, the administration is going to get a lot of blame, but where we are today has so much to do with where we were 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, and so on. And I think that there was a reluctance for a variety of reasons to do what was necessary with especially Pakistan, which means you then have to bring in India into the equation to figure out how do we deny safe haven. There's no insurgency in history of which I'm aware where the insurgents were defeated as long as they had a significant safe haven across the border. And that's what the Taliban and Al-Qaeda have had for the last 18 years or so.
Why didn't the U.S. confront that? I mean, you were the director of the Pakistan-Afghanistan coordination cell at the Joint Staff. I mean, you know very well what
Exactly.
The double game that Pakistan was playing.
Yeah, we were fortunate to have somebody like Admiral Mike Mullen as the chairman at the time. This was, I was the director of the PAC from 2000, basically all of 2011. And so I was part of the problem, if you will. But I remembered seeing the chairman work so hard with Pakistani leadership, the administrations, Joint Staff, Central Command, state, all believed or hoped that somehow Pakistan that they were our ally. I mean, that word ally was used, and that and we believed or were gullible for a period of time that they might actually become an ally. The fact is, ISI, the intelligence service in Pakistan, and the Pakistani army, that's who runs things in Pakistan. And they have zero interest in an Afghanistan that was stable, secure, because Afghanistan would naturally be a friend of India. And so for Pakistan, they did not want the outcome that we had hoped there would be. And so that's why I think, and of course they have nuclear weapons. And so the administrations were understandably and correctly concerned about control of those nuclear weapons, the fissile material, what's going to happen to that. And I think the big mistake when you ask who's to blame was that we tried to isolate Afghanistan into one problem set, Pakistan as another problem set.